Cooking bloke. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got quite a lot of ingredient going on, and I'm cooking something that I haven't cooked in a long time, and I don't know why. Maybe didn't fancy it, too lazy. I don't know whether it's anything to do with laziness or what, but I'm going to be cooking chili, and the ingredients are all this stuff down here. So I've got super hot chilies, I've got a whole onion of garlic. Look at all that, super duper. I've got 1.5 onions, a good lump of lean minced beef. Isn't that delicious? Probably died, but I don't know, might not be. Then I've got some courgettes, coriander, mushrooms, tomatoes, chili powder, kidney beans and tomatoes. Oh my goodness, it's all going on. And so what I'm going to do, first and foremost, I'm going to put the olive oil on and put the onions and the garlic in the pan and give them a little bit of a stir. Come on, let's have a look, shall we? I know I'm going to be talking about some stuff as usual, but let me just get this started first. So I think the chilies can go in there as well. Right. So they're all in there, ready to go. And give them a bit of a stir around. Already it's looking absolutely delicious. And so of course we've got the essential ingredients, Newcastle brown. And so, well, I wonder how many of these I'm going to need to put in. I'll try it with one. I've got chili, I can always add chili powder, and I've got 2 of these, so you know, now what's it say? Brown minced beef, yeah. Mix in seasoning, tomatoes, kidney beans and water. Bring to the boil, cover up. Okay, so it doesn't say how much water to use. 125 ml of water. Anyway, I don't tend to listen to what it says on packets, to be fair people, I just do my own thing. And because we've got a tin of tomatoes, which is going to give a lot of moisture to it, then I'll just put in a bit of extra water as and when. Now, my HillBilly band has stopped. Let me just go and sort the HillBillies out, people. Alright then, let's get to it, shall we? So, leave those onions browning a little bit before I brown the mince. And start to add some of the other ingredients. Now I've got to colour up the colander, the beans, Yeah, you guys, you know, do you guys cook or what? You never really say, do you? You never really say. A couple of you cook. I don't know what percentage of people cook these days. I don't know what percentage of my viewers are that way inclined. Because what I do know in my life is that there are men that completely don't have the inclination to cook. They wouldn't have a clue what to do. Right, I think. Right, that's done over there, so come over here. And I'm going to put the beef in. Yep. The oil's burning a bit. Yeah, I mean, how many of you actually cook? And if you don't cook, what do you eat? I mean, if there was someone I used to knock around with, he was a vegetarian, and he would only cook some sort of veggie burgers. He once learned how to cook some veggie burgers, and that's all he had with frozen vegetables then. He'd have frozen or tinned vegetables, and that's all he'd ever be eating really. He never ate, you know, anything remotely elaborate. He just wouldn't do it. He would make his veggie burgers, he would freeze them down, and then he'd just live on that shit forever. Right, so I think I'm going to put a bit more oil in that. Looking a bit dry, to be fair. Now the thing is about making chilli or bolognese, I like to ensure that the mincemeat is all broken up. I don't like it when you get big lumps of it like this. I like it when it's actually minced up. So okay, I think it's time to put the tomatoes in. So I've got tomatoes with some herbs in. Now I think I'm going to turn that down. Okay, I think what the thing to do now is get a bit of water in here, get a bit of filtered water. Now I just poured that much, probably a bit too much. We'll try to that for a starter. Right. Okay, let me just go straight in there. And mess around with that. Right. Okay. Well, I've got a couple of tomatoes and a couple of courgettes, and so I think now I don't know, courgettes in chili. What do you think? I'm thinking, why not? I've got them, and so I can't think what else I'm going to use them for. So put them in there. Put one in for the time being. Then I can put a lot of mushrooms, because mushrooms are great in chili. So that video I made about Russell Brand and Jordan Peterson, getting quite a lot of hits, and people are expressing that they're a little bit upset because Jordan Peterson, for one, you know, is a young man's hero. At least he was, but I think people are losing sight now of what he's really about. He's no longer a young man's hero. You know, with the second book, 12 Rules for Life, it was all about helping young men get their shit together. And I'm like, what sort of young men did you know in your life, Peterson? People that couldn't stand up with a straight back and clean the fucking room. What, like they were living with their mom still? But being a university lecturer, then he was dealing with kids, wasn't he? And he probably, you know, heard a lot of talk about how those kids were living their lives. And of course, being a psychotherapist for 25 years, you know, he'd get to hear all this shit. And sometimes in his videos, he tells stories of like telling people that just can't get the shit together, just start by tidying up your sock drawer. Do that this week and then come back and let me know how you got along. And sometimes people go, yeah, I never got around to it. I'm going to try this week. Those sort of people, you know. What sort of people are those? Very, very damaged, disturbed people. But anyway, he's dealt with a lot of those. And I think people that grow up with single parents, like grow up with just the mum, and the mum doesn't, you know, pull them into shape and kick their asses into doing shit. I couldn't get away with nothing when I was growing up, you know, because like I say, I had 11 brothers and sisters, and we lived in a big house, and it would have been absolute chaos if we weren't all severely regimented. So we all had our chores to do, we all had to be very, very disciplined. We couldn't come down to breakfast without washing our faces, cleaning our teeth, being fully dressed and doing whatever we did with our hair. We would have to be ready for school, you know. Or weekends we'd have to be ready, you know, to present ourselves. You know, in our house, my old man wasn't having anybody coming down to the breakfast table without cleaning their teeth and sleeping their eyes and in the pyjamas. That wasn't happening, no. So everybody would do their ablutions before they came down for breakfast, and you know, the whole house was regimented. We all knew what to do, and we all had to wash up and dry up and put the pots away in the exact same order where they were in this big kitchen. You know, while stepmother was cooking for, you know, 12 kids. 12 kids, yeah. So. But when people are brought up with broken families and the parents are ill themselves and they can't be bothered to discipline and teach and help and guide, well, people then just fall apart, don't they? So I'm just going to chop a couple of tomatoes here. And so therefore then, you know, in the early days, Peterson was the boy. And he sold a lot of these 12 Rules for Life, and I knew a couple of people that bought it and got through the first few pages, and that was about it. So I don't know how much good it did. but I suppose the intention was there. But you know, true to form, Peterson would have got too deep, too out there to help anybody on a basic level. Right, put these tomatoes in, and then I'm going to put tomato puree in. I'm going to put the whole thing in, so it's nice and rich, and there's no point in keeping a little bit in the fridge because the chances I won't be making this again before that puree would go off in the fridge. Now, this is looking very, very delicious. Can you see that? Can you see what's going on here? Taking shape mighty fine, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that's happening. Then, we're almost finished again. You see, I don't know if people don't cook, why they don't cook. It's just so simple, you know. It took 5 minutes and it's almost done. Now, I've got these piping hot little babies, little devils they are in actual fact. I call them devil's tails because they're going to be as hot as hell. So, I've got coriander to sprinkle over it at the end. And then I've got my super spicy Doritos to scoop it up with. And so I'm going to get some rice going. Get a cup of rice going. Right, let me see. Don't go away. You don't be going away now. Now, the thing is with me, I always keep lots of spares of everything. I'm not the sort of person that just buys one thing when you're going to use it. No. I buy lots of things, so they're always there. And I've always got duplicates, and I don't have to go running for stuff, you know. Right then, what's going on here? And so when I go shopping, I'll buy like half a dozen bags of rice, and half a dozen, well, everything really. So, never running out of anything. And then when I can see things getting low, then I'll stock up again. So, you know, this is to do with my upbringing, being brought up in a very military household, although my old man wasn't in the military. But he had to run the house like that, and so did the stepmom. Otherwise, it would fall to pieces. Now I'm going to get some filtered water. Right, I just got to wait for that water to filter through that. Going to put the chili beans in, and let's have a look how we're getting on, shall we? I think it's due for tasting in a minute. Well, that looks absolutely superb. Yeah, I think the courgettes were a nice touch. And so leave that to bed down a little bit before I make my mind up whether I want any more chili powder or spices in there. yeah. So yeah, Jordan Peterson is a young man's hero, and Russell Brand not so much, but because now he's a Christian, and Jordan Peterson speaks as if he's a Christian, then anybody in the comments saying something about what I've been saying, protecting them, I would think 90% of them would be Christian. Because I think anyone who wasn't Christian, just like some guys that used to be following Peterson because they thought he was a father figure, now it turns out he's just lost it, he's just talking complete waffle all the time. You see, look, that video I put up yesterday, Peterson and Brand weren't speaking, educating, informing the audience. They had no intention to do that at all. They were just wanking each other's cocks. Because they're into this Christianity thing, and they like competing with each other, and then so they're always quoting highfalutin and this and the other, and then Peterson's like this, and you know, they're absorbing each other, and they're playing with each other and all this sort of stuff. They don't give a fuck about the audience. And so there's a couple of comments that said, that's just because you don't know what they're saying, you don't understand what they're saying. No, I don't. They're talking a complete load of bollocks. And I've followed both of them for many, many years. And so I know what all their game is, I know what all their themes are, and I've read lots of the books that they're quoting, so I do actually know what they're quoting, but the way they go about it, they're not intending to give anything meaningful to anyone. They're just wanking each other's cocks. That's what they're doing, people. And so I've got no time for that, and I'm going to call that bullshit out when I see it. You see, if they were about helping people, then they'd be speaking much more plain. They'd be realising that, hang on, we've got lots of young people, not the educated people. We can't be saying all these fucking fandangled words and everything like that, because they're going to be losing the message. If you don't grasp, you know, at least 99% of what the words mean, then you're not grasping what is being said, are you? And it's Brand's intention, absolutely, to just fuck with everybody's head and just to show everybody, you know, how superior he is at language. And it's ridiculous. And so there's no intention there to educate people. Because if there was, he'd be speaking much more plain, much more concise, and he'd be, you know, building things, you know, starting from the bottom and building up, and a bit like 12 Rules for Life, what Peterson started to do, that sort of thing. But Peterson's not doing that anymore now, you know, with his $1 million suits, and every single one of his teeth has been capped, by the way. Don't know whether any of you have noticed that, but when he started out, all his teeth were yellow and jagged. Now they're all perfect, like dentures. Must have cost him like, you know, $200,000. And there's no mention of it, him getting it done. Just one of those surreptitious things that he disappeared for a couple of weeks and haven't done. Right, shall we taste it? Let's have a little taste. Oh, yeah. Well, I think I'll put the lid on that and let the courgettes and the mushrooms settle down, and tidy up the kitchen. So while I'm tidying up the kitchen, I can continue to speak with you. Filtered water for the rice, people. Don't need all them heavy metals. To be honest, I don't really feel like talking. I've got a sore throat. I've been singing a lot today. And I've been saying that I speak too much and I sing too much. And I really should just have whole day's rests. But I don't. I can't. And so you won't be able to hear that kettle boiling. So it's kind of there. So when we look at these heroes, and they're supposed to be, you know, people who defend them, Christians and maybe people, because, you know, one person said, you know, I've learnt a lot from these people and this and the other. And, you know, if I look back and ask myself, well, what have I learnt from Peterson? I always liked him, and it's not that it's not that I dislike him now. It's just that he's gone off on one, hasn't he? He's gone off on one, and he's getting so psychotic into the deep intricacies of symbolism, like Richard Dawkins says. He says, you know, you're just drunk on that shit. You're drunk on that shit, and to be quite frank, I think it's complete bollocks. And that's, you know, an intelligent, rational mind. But Peterson, you know, being a Jungian and a psychoanalyst and all this sort of thing, well, you know, he's gone into a special place. But the thing is, over and above that, people, Peterson now has a messiah complex. Now, I did mention this in the last video. In his book, Mouth of Meaning, there's a letter to his father. And in that he says, I found something that nobody else has found. And it's going to be really, really big. And so what it was is because that whole book was about trying to discover the root of evil. And so he thinks he's found it now. And this is why he wrote this last book, We Who Wrestle with God. And this book was mostly, by the sound of things, written about the Cain and Abel story. And Richard Dawkins says, you mention Cain 357 times in that book. 357 times. It must be every single page, people. Cain, 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 Cain. Dawkins said that's obsessive. And Peterson laughed. Yeah, he's an obsessive. And of course, look at the intensity in his face. Never lied, always super intense, and the way he looks at somebody, super intense. What do they say? What do they mean? It's like everybody's on his couch, you know. He cannot now differentiate between people who he's psychoanalyzing and he's just interacting with. And you know, because now he's all around the world and everybody's wanting to speak with Jordan Peterson, then he's feeling very, very powerful and important. And of course that's going to affect his disposition, his psyche, his outlook on life and everything. And it's going to increase his messiah complex. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Peterson. Whether he falls from grace. Of course everyone's going to fall from grace. He's going to fall from grace the same as everybody. How's it going to come? How's it going to come about? Interesting to watch it all unfold. But what has he done? What can I remember? How, you know, the only thing I remember really is stand up with a straight back and clean up your room. Anything else, it's just a load of highfalutin. And I admired his quick mind and his articulation and how he stands his ground in an argument, and he's very, very aggressive in an argument. I like those attributes. But now I'm just looking at what you're actually saying, Peterson, and it's just overwhelmingly this biblical corpus bullshit. Fucking bullshit. And so I'm convinced that he's so prolific now because the powers that be, the leftists, are promoting this shit. Because look, if he was anti-establishment, then he wouldn't be being hired all over the fucking world, would he? By very, very important institutions and organisations, this, that and the other. but he is. And so therefore the establishment are either letting that happen or they're promoting it and they're helping it along because of the promotion of this silly religious stuff, which is just blindsiding everybody from the real thing that's going on the earth. So people, I'll tune back in when I've tidied up the kitchen and we've got a finished product to sample now.